So I had a spaz out moment. And when I tell you, it was so obvious while it was happening. You know how you have that voice in your head that's like, you're going too far, you're going too far. You feel yourself getting mad. Stop. Okay, you're starting to see red. Stop right now. Stop. But when I tell you, as I'm hearing the voice in my head, and I actually felt my pressure rising, and I knew what was happening, and I could not stop it. And it was so crazy because I had just heard the sermon about your response. The power is in your response. As you're modeling yourself like Christ, it's not about what another person does, it's about how you respond to it. And I heard it, and 5 minutes later, okay, not literally 5 minutes later, but like within the next hour, I was tested. Now, I haven't been tested in this area in a minute. I can say that me responding to things that I have clocked has been kind of a breeze since I've been focusing on working on other areas and just focusing on like the present and not staying stuck in the past and moving forward. So I could say like this area of my life has been pretty calm, and that says a lot because I used to be an internal crash out. I've never been one of those people who gonna slash your tires, gonna wish death to you, like nothing like that. I've never been like that. That's not my story. But internally, I would hold on to things, and I would spiral on things, and I would allow my mind to be so undisciplined whenever I felt wronged or like I wasn't being heard or I wasn't being seen or felt, and I'm feeling misunderstood. I would allow myself to stay in that place for so long that it kept me almost paralyzed. I can say God has delivered me from that, right? That was a long process. So while I've been focusing on other areas in my life, I haven't been tested as much. But here's the thing. You don't know how you've been delivered. You don't know who you really are or what you still really need to work on until you're tested in that actual area, until emotions are heightened. That's when the real you comes out. So you can think that you don't move past something and you all good, it's rainbows and kisses and boom, boom, boom. Hey, I'm over that. No, it's not until emotions are heightened that you realize the things that you still need to work on, what's still in you. And I was tested. I was tested in my co-parenting journey. And like I said, I have not been tested in this area in a minute. Co-parenting thank God, has been pretty level, pretty balanced for the last, I could say 8 months or so. And my son is 5 going on 6. So the first 2 to 3 years was extremely hard. And they were hard because I was a control freak. Now, I'm not saying everything was my fault, but what I'm saying that I had to learn how to master is the art of detachment. Like detaching myself from the outcome, detaching myself from feeling like everything that happened to my son is on me. I can go into so many different levels of that way of thinking. I could do that on another video, but like that is one thing that made my co-parenting journey a lot easier, is learning the art of detachment. My God. And so he's 5 going on 6. Around him turning 4 is when it really kicked in, and I just started feeling more confident and trusting that everything will work out, that I am not in control. It's literally something I had to wake up every day, like, and say, Lord, I'm not in control. You are in control. You are the author of my story. I am your servant. You have chosen me to be a mother. You have chosen me to be this child's mother. Show me what to do. That's the first thing. But I can't carry no more guilt. I can't carry no shame. I need help in this area. And me acknowledging that every day now, it was something that it was a muscle I had to build. So over time, when things didn't go the way that I wanted them to go, or a decision was made without me, or me and my child's father just didn't see eye to eye on something, I did not take ownership of it. I did not allow myself to spiral. I did not take it out on my child. And the biggest thing is that I didn't take it out on his dad. I literally had to just start saying, I'm not in control. And you know what? I don't want to be. I don't want to be in control. I need help. And I need, because this is my decision. I've made this decision to have a child out of wedlock. And all the things that come along with that. So one, I need to get rid of this shame. That's one. How he came here. Gotta get rid of that. That's not what we doing. We're not being shamed. Two, the fact that I've chosen to be a single mother. I know God has still equipped me with everything that I need to get through this journey. So just having that faith and that trust started turning things around. This, I can't say applies to, I'm not going to tell anybody that if you have a narcissistic co-parent, or you literally just cannot deal with your co-parent, they're deceased, or your story is different than mine, then I'm not saying that this applies to you. But for those of us who do have a co-parent who is willing to be there, who wants to be there, and it's friction that is in the middle of us communicating, the power is in your response. Even if you don't agree with your co-parent, even if the things that they do gets under your skin, even if you just don't, the power is in your response. And the funny thing about giving my life over to Christ is learning how to conduct myself like I'm an example. I can't control what nobody else do or say, but I have to remember that I'm an example. This don't mean act perfect, because I'm not perfect. Ain't nobody perfect. But it does mean taking accountability for yourself and who you represent. And once I started bringing that mindset into co-parenting, I started treating him different. So even if you upset me, I'm gonna respond in a way that, one, I'm not going to respond immediately if I'm super upset. I'm just not going to do it. That's how arguments start. That's how. Two, I'm going to take that negative thought that I have and I'm going to flip it around. And I had to go to the extreme at first. When I was first learning how to do this, I had to literally go to the extreme. Like when his dad would piss me off, I mean, I don't have another word for that, but when I would get boiling to my boiling point, I would literally have to go to the other extreme. He could not be here. He could be dead. Would you want that for your son? No. Is that the case? No, it's not, Kiera. Your son's dad is here. So this moment will pass. You will get through it. Check yourself and why you are actually upset and triggered in this moment. And when I started saying to myself, when I'm upset, like when I went on the opposite end of the spectrum, like he could not be here. when I started looking at it like that first, versus trying to justify everything that I'm feeling, it started making me more appreciative of him. I'm not telling nobody that's easy. Oh my God. To appreciate someone who triggers you. But even in the triggers, I started saying I appreciate the triggers, because now I know what I still need to work on, what's still in me, what is still in me. And it's the only way you're gonna know what to pray for yourself for, because you can't change yourself on your own will or your own might. Our minds will, if you by yourself on your own and you trying to work through your issues on your own, let me tell you, the same mind who allowed you to have these issues cannot be the same mind that gets you out of it. You need help. You need help, and you need to go to the one. You have to go to the one who created you, who is the author of your story. That is the only way. It's the only way. So I just went on a whole rant and a whole ramble, because really the point of this video is for me to just document, like, yesterday I had a spaz out moment, an out loud spaz out moment, and it was in front of my son. And I haven't done that since he was a baby. I haven't had one of those. And I realized, like, after I rolled off, and I felt so bad. I didn't feel better. Now, used to, before, when I would, bite back with my words. Like I said, I ain't never been a slash your tires, pop at your, I ain't never been that. But when I would bite back with my words, I would feel better. When I felt like I could, like, cut him down with what I say, I would feel better. That made me feel better. But I felt so bad riding off. I felt so bad. As the cuss words was flying in my head, the other side, I was also like, Lord, I need help. I need help with this. These ain't the thoughts I'm trying to have. I ain't been tested like this in I don't know how long. I ain't think that was still we haven't had an argument, like, in so long, and it happened so fast. In that split second, I'm like, and I realized, and then I started crying. I'm like, God, that's still in me. My God, that's still in me. Even though I haven't seen that side of me in a long time, but that is still in me. How was that still in me? What just triggered me to that point where I wanted to cut his face? Like, what triggered that? And I started working through it, and I started just talking to God. I just letting it out. What I really wanted to say, God, what I really feel, God, is blah, 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 blah. I gotta be honest. You gotta be honest with how you feeling. And I'm just like letting it out. And then I draw it back in with, Lord, I don't want to have these feelings. That didn't make me feel better. I actually feel worse. Help me with this. I need help with this. This is still in me. I need help with this. And then he texts me. Right when I'm starting to reel it back in, he texts me. And he didn't text me to make it better. He texted me to agitate the situation. And that's right after I just prayed to help me with it. And I really wanted to bite back in that text. But I said, this is the test right here. Respond in the way that you wish you had responded the first time in person. And that's what I did. And it was hard. Oh, I kept deleting and typing again, because I really wanted to be nice, nasty, and be right, and explain myself. And it didn't even matter, because I had to realize he's not even in a place. This message that he just sent me is letting me know he's not even in a place to receive me explaining myself anyway. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It does not matter. Respond how you really want to respond eventually, and feel it genuinely. And so I said, you're right. That's the first thing. You're right. Period. I apologize. Period. I trust, period. Now, all them things ain't how I was feeling. I didn't feel like he was right. I didn't feel like I needed to apologize. I didn't even feel like I trusted him in that moment with what the issue was. But them three things, me saying that and not allowing myself to sit there and spiral anymore and just send it, I just sent it. And it's like when I sent it, it's like, dang. All right. Even if it's like how you have to start praying and speaking things into existence so that they would be. You don't speak them because you feel them. You speak them because you're speaking it into, it's life and death in your tongue. And I could have kept going back and forth, but it was like I already feel bad. I just prayed about this, so now you're gonna come right back in and agitate the situation again. But I said, you know what? Let me respond in a way that I eventually want to feel like. So I did, and I sent it, and I felt better. I felt better saying those things that I didn't actually feel in the moment versus me heightening the situation even more. I felt better. And then I started crying again. and it was more this time a cry of relief. Like, okay, this moment gonna pass. At the end of the day, the other extreme, now I don't have to say stuff to myself to snap me back in. Like, what if he was, he could not be here. Now I say stuff to myself that just grounds me and brings me back in. Like, whenever you get upset, ask yourself, is your child loved? Is he loved, and does he know that he's loved? Does he feel love? Is he happy? Is he happy? Is he safe? If all three of those things are yes, and my feeling right now is still strong, then I know that it's out of control and not concern. So here, you still got to work on that control issue. Because all three of these things is met. My son was smiling. He was just as happy and to be with his dad, and just as happy and kept. And I know he's fed, and I know all of his needs is met. I know he know that his mama love him and his daddy love him. Now, whatever else I'm feeling right now about the choices that was made that I didn't agree with, or me feeling overstepped, that's a control issue. It's not a concern issue. So that is my grounding truth that I have to come back to whenever I get upset or triggered, is asking myself, is my son loved, and does he know it? Is he kept? Like, is he happy? Is he happy? Can you tell that he's happy? Is he safe? All three of those things met. All three of them cups is full. It's about you then. It ain't about your son. And at that point, you gotta own your stuff. You gotta own your stuff. So anyway, this co-parenting journey is not, it's not for the faint of heart, as I'm sure being married with children is not. That's a whole nother different struggle that I have not encountered. So I can't say what's better or what's worse. All I know is that we've got to keep ourselves grounded in a way where we're keeping the children as the focus. And those are the three areas that I focus on, that I make sure, like, as long as he is happy, as long as he is safe, and as long as he knows that he's loved, then anything else is probably me being, or the other side, controlling the situation. And now I need to deal with that accordingly. And sometimes that looks like being quiet. Sometimes that looks like saying, you're right, and nothing else after it. Just you're right. Sometimes it look like saying, I'm sorry, and saying nothing else after it. And most of the time, it just looks like just owning your stuff, owning it, and then dealing with that outside of your child, so that you can show up as the best version of yourself. You can show up, because when we show up as the best versions of ourselves, then our children benefit from that. And that's how we break toxicity. That's how we break those patterns. And honestly, it is the first form of me having to exhibit loving my neighbor. Like, loving his dad through our trials and tribulations. I'm not talking about romantic love. I'm talking about actually exercising the fact, because you're a Christian, right? So when you're exercising that love, that applies to everybody. It applies when you say loving your neighbor as you love yourself, loving your enemies. It's not saying that you got to go be buddy. It's saying, like, I'm still going to love you. I still am going to pray for you, even though it's hard for me, even when I may not know the words to say or the prayer to use. Like, just, I'm not going to wish harm on you. I'm going to care for you when I see that that is something within my ability to do. And me being quiet sometimes and not always fighting back with my words because I could, that's a form of me loving him. That's a form of me loving and keeping the respect in our relationship, so that our child can benefit from that. So now we're modeling to our son on both sides what love and respect actually looks like. And that's what I have to remember. So again, I'm not saying this applies to every type of co-parenting situation. Some people are in abusive situations. But that's not my case. I can't sit here and lie and even act like that's my story. I have a co-parent who is willing, who is able, and who wants to, actually be in his son's life. And so I feel like it's my duty as my child's mother to exhibit a healthy relationship, what a healthy relationship looks like. And I can't tell him how to respond and try to teach him how to respond by just my words. I have to show it through my actions. And so anyway, that's super long video. I had to get that out because I just felt I felt very convicted over that little crash out. and I felt even more than I felt convicted, I felt a love correction. Like, I felt corrected by God, not ashamed, because that's not God's love. When you feel shame, but when you feel genuinely corrected, that's God's love. That's a part of his love. So happy co-parenting to everybody. I pray that we are working through our issues and just finding a common ground and a neutral ground, and being able to plant good seeds so that we can, nurture our children and just show up better. Bye.